Hallelujah. Baruch haba. Blessed be the Most High King of the universe, Yehovah. I'm thankful to this great King for my life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You may be seated. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for life, and I pray that the Most High God be with us all and protect us. How y'all feeling today? It's a great day. It's a Shabbat day, and we should be glad and rejoice therein. I'm grateful to this mighty King because He's given me life. He's given my family life. And through the good times and bad times, we still acknowledge Him and give Him praises. Because like I always said, through the bad times and the bad things, we learn. You know, when you're having good times, you're always happy. And sometimes when you're having good times, you forget to go to the Most High God because you're having such a good time and you feel like you're blessed. But we got to do this at all times. We got to give glory to the Most High God at all times, in good times and in bad times, because God is to be glorified at all times. This is a blessed day, and I'm thankful once again, and I pray that everyone out there is in good spirits. I hope that everyone online, I say Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you. I hope that all you are in good spirits and that you had a great week, and that the Most High God has blessed you with the desires of your mind, that you desire in righteousness. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So at this time, we're going to move straight ahead, and we're going to go into the portion called Shemini. Anybody know what Shemini means? Eighth, right. So just like we celebrate the after the 7 days of Sukkot, then the 8th day solemn assembly is called what? Shemini Atzeret. Right. So that's 8. So let us go, my brother.
We're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 9, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it came to pass on the 8th day that Moshe called Aharon and his sons and the elders of Yisrael. And he said unto Aharon, take thee a bull calf for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, and offer them before Yehovah.
So on the 8th day from what? Anybody knows what's going on at this moment? Consecration. The priesthood, and prior to that, the Mishkan, the tabernacle has been erected. So now this is like an inauguration, right? The Mishkan and the priests, the people who are going to be working in there, are going through certain procedures in order to be sanctified before the Creator. So Moses has to go through all of these things, get his brother and get his nephews ready in order to take this position. Now, when we read chapter 8, it said Moses did some offerings, and he also washed his brother, he washed his nephews, and put on the holy garments on them. Now, that's the last time you're going to hear about Moses doing any offerings, because the job of offerings go to who? To the priest. Moses is not a priest. Moses is the prophet of the Most High God, but the job was not given to Moses, although Moses was the first one that had to give Aaron and his sons the example on how to offer and sacrifice before the Most High God. But after that, that was it. That was it for Moses in doing that part of the job. So we see now, right here, that the Most High God is telling Aaron and his sons, and it came to pass on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron and his sons. So Moses, from the Most High, getting the message from the Most High God, telling Aaron and his sons, take thee a bull calf for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, offer them before Yehovah. This is very important because this was direct instructions. Right. This is what I want you to do. Read on, my brother.
Verse 3.
And
unto the children of Israel thou shalt speak, saying, take ye a he-goat for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both of the first year without blemish, for a burnt offering. And an ox and a ram for peace offerings, to sacrifice before Yehovah, and a meal offering mingled with oil. For today Yehovah appeareth unto you. And they brought that which Moshe commanded before the tent of meeting, and all the congregation drew near and stood before Yehovah.
Said, do all this. He spoke to Aaron and his sons, and he spoke to the congregation of Israel. He said, do all this. Said, because today is the 8th day. Today is the grand opening. Today is the day when the Most High God will appear before you, because through the other days, the 7 days, everything's been transpiring smooth. Right. So today is the grand entrance of the Most High God. He's going to approve all this if we do it the right way. Let us go, my brother.
And Moshe said, this is the thing which Yahuwah commanded that ye should do, that the glory of Yahuwah may appear unto you. And Moshe said unto Aaron, draw near unto the altar, and offer thy sin offering and thy burnt offering, and make atonement for thyself and for the people, and present the offering of the people, and make atonement for them as Yahuwah commanded.
So before Aaron could do anything for anyone else,
right,
what he has to do? He has to make himself clean.
That's right.
So before you offer anything up for anybody else, make sure that you get them sins off you.
Right.
So you offer up, you give your sin offering first, and then everything goes down from there. His sons, then it goes to the people. And that's the order it should go. Very specific instructions, and this is the thing that we have to keep in mind, because God is very specific. The Creator is very specific as of the things that he wants us to do. So very important. These are the details that the Most High God gives men so that men could follow. Right. This is the instance with Uzziel. The detail is that the staves that are made for the ark, for that box, with the cherubim, with the cover on top of it and the mercy seat in the middle, right? It said that the staves or the poles stay in there. You know why they stay in there? So that you never make the mistake of grabbing it.
That's right.
So that whomever comes and picks it up, know that they have to be careful. There is no mistakes.
No, not with this.
Whomever comes and picks that up and just looking at it for the first time, and don't know any instructions, and you see staves in it, what you gonna think? You're gonna be like, well, this probably is to be carried this way. They're gonna grab the sticks and they're gonna walk with it. But Uzziel stuck his hand out, right? And that's not the instructions for that box. That box is to be carried. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. And like Moray Aranya said, he probably knew the law, but his instincts got him killed. Very interested. He spoke about the OSHA training. It talks about when anything's falling, just let it fall. You know, truck drivers are instructed that if they're on the highway and they have, they carrying a load, and even if a human being walks in the middle of the highway, this has happened. A human being that walks in the middle of the highway while they're coming, just keep going straight. Because it's going to be more damage.
Right, more catastrophic.
More catastrophic damage if you're trying to swerve one person. Right. Now you could take out a bunch of cars, kill a whole bunch of people.
Right.
That's why you see dares on the highway splattered. Right. Because once they see the dare, they hold tight. They hold tight and they just go forward. Because if they go like this, now whose life do you prefer, your life or the dare's life? At this point, my life is more precious to me at this point. Right. So I'm going to keep that truck steady, put my both hands on the wheel, and some of them might pick up speed to just run, to go through it. Right? The people who carry gasoline, this has happened. I've seen gas trucks melt bridges. Because there is no water, there is no chemical that could put out a fire of a tank of a gasoline, that big gasoline tank that's in the back of those trucks. There is nothing that could put that out. They just got to let that burn out. And it burns out and it melts bridges and it melts highways and it does all of that. So, when we get into instructions and things like that, they're very important because they might help to save your life.
That's right.
And the Most High God gave very specific instructions to Aaron and his sons through Moses. Let's go.
Verse 8.
Verse 8.
So Aharon drew near unto the altar and slew the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself. And the
instructions. Let's go.
And the sons of Aharon presented the blood unto him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it upon the horns of the altar and poured out the blood at the base of the altar. But the fat and the kidneys and the lobe of the liver of the sin offering he made smoke upon the altar, as Yahuwah commanded Moses.
As Yahuwah commanded Moses. So what do you think if Aaron would have did the offering for the people first? What you think would have happened?
Not accepted.
Could have cost him his life too.
That's right.
But he went in specifics as to what Moses told him, what was commanded by the Creator. Let us go, my brother.
And the flesh and the skin were burnt with fire without the king. And he slew the burnt offering, and Aharon's sons delivered unto him the blood, and he dashed it against the altar round about. And they delivered the burnt offering unto him, piece by piece, and the head, and he made them smoke upon the altar.
He made them smoke upon the altar. Let's go.
And he washed the inwards and the legs, and made them smoke upon the burnt offering on the altar.
This is officially the beginning of their job. This is the official beginning, because prior to that, people was doing what they wanted to do. That's why it says, in the place that I shall put my name, there shall you bring on your tithes, there shall you bring up your offerings, there shall you bring up everything that has to do with me. Because I don't want you going up on the mountain anymore talking about you're offering something up to me. So now, this is the beginning of their actual work as priests to the nation. First, they got to cleanse themselves, and now you're servants to the nation. And this is what you're doing through the nation, is how you survive. Because remember, Levi has no inheritance. So they depend on the kindness of the nation and on the things that are required for the people to do, like bringing up the tithes and things of this nature. That's what they depend on. So now their job begins. Let's go.
15. And the people's offerings were presented. And he took the goat of the sin offering, which was for the people, and slew it, and offered it for sin as the first.
And he offered it for sin as the first. Let's go.
And the burnt offering was presented, and he offered it according to the ordinance. And the meal offering was presented, and he filled his hand therefrom, and made it smoke upon the altar.
He made it smoke upon the altar.
Besides the burnt offering of the morning.
Besides the burnt offering of the morning. So besides what they had to do for the beginning or the start of this inauguration of this place, of this Mishkan, they go right into the daily offerings, the morning and the evening. So the job has begun. It's not a make-believe job. This is a real job. So you make your offerings as it is commanded. Let us go.
He slew also the ox and the ram, the sacrifice of peace offerings, which was for the people. And Aharon's sons delivered unto him the blood. And he dashed it against the altar round about. And the fat of the ox and of the ram, the fat tail, and that which covereth the inwards. And the kidneys and the lobe of the liver.
And the lobe of the liver.
And they put the fat upon the breast, and he made the fat smoke upon the altar.
Made it smoke upon the altar.
And the breast and the right thigh Aharon waved for a wave offering before Yehovah, as Moshe commanded. And Aharon lifted up his hands toward the people and blessed them. And he came down from offering the sin offering and the burnt offering and the peace offering.
So Aaron put his hands up and he said, Yevareka Yehovah Yishmareka. Ya'ir Yehovah Panao Leka Wikuneka. Yisa Yehovah Panao Leka Wayasem Leka Shalom. That's what he did. That's what he did. While the people were there, he blessed them. Like Moreh Aranya said earlier. So every time we gather and the priest is there, that's what he does. He blesses the people.
Facts.
Let us go.
And Moshe and Aharon went into the tent of meeting and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of Yehovah appeared unto all the people. And there came forth fire from before Yehovah, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat. And when all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces.
So the Most High is using fire as approval to what's happening. Hey, the screen is black. Oh, the Most High is using fire as approval to what's happening at this moment. That's right. Just like the Most High God could use fire to approve of something, he could use fire to not approve of something. Shalom, Chief. It's a cleanser. So fire could be an approval, or fire could be not an approval.
That's right.
I've seen people that have gotten hit with lightning. I seen a show, I think it was Oprah. She had a bunch of people that got hit by lightning. It was one person that was blind. Blind all their lives. They got hit by lightning and they were able to see. One man was bald. He got hit by lightning, hair started growing back.
Oh, man.
Some people got hit and died. But lightning could be an approval, or it could be to your advantage, or it could be to your disadvantage. Serious. These were people that had like certain things wrong with them, got hit by lightning, and that's a direct message from God. Because you think people get hit by lightning most of the time, you thinking that they're going to pass away, they're going to die. But sometimes you get hit by lightning, and one lady said she had cancer, got hit by lightning, went back to the doctor, she was good. So tell me this God is not real. He'd send you a direct message. He said, man, you should have been dead from that lightning strike. And he bring you back to life. These were true stories that people were telling. This is the faith that we're supposed to have in our Creator.
Amen.
The trust. If you believe in him, he will look out for you.
That's right.
He will heal you. He will protect you. This is the God that we serve. Let us go.
We're in Leviticus chapter 10, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aharon, took each of them his censer and put fire therein, and laid incense thereon, and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he had not commanded them.
What did the Most High God command them? Anybody? Can anybody remember when we started? What did God command them to do? Just look at it. Just look back. As soon as you get it, just read it. Anyone. What did God command Moses to tell Aaron to do? Aaron and his sons to do. Don't be afraid. You see it. You reading it. Everybody's like, I know that it says it, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. There's no wrong answers. Let's go. Anybody. My brother?
Verse 7, Moses said to Aaron, come near to the altar and perform your sin offering, your burnt offering, and provide atonement for yourself.
That's what it, and if you go right to the top of that chapter, what it says. Right at chapter 9, what does it say? Leviticus chapter 9, verse 1, what does it say?
Take the young calf for a sin offering.
Uh-huh. And do what? And offer them before Yahweh. Did he say take incense and offer it before the Most High God?
Nope.
He said what? Take thee a bull calf for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, offer them before Yahweh.
That's it.
And unto the children of Israel thou shalt speak, saying, take you a he-goat for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both of the first year, without blemish for a burnt offering, and an ox and a ram for peace offerings to sacrifice before Yahweh, and meal offering mingled with oil. For today Yahweh appeareth unto you. He did not tell them to grab any incense and to burn it. Now, there's nothing wrong with burning incense, but in this instance, God did not want incense.
Right.
And that mixture of incense that's presented before the Most High God, that's continually burned before him, we are not allowed to make that. So they got a little bit overzealous, but then what happened to them? Let's go.
And there came forth fire from before Yahweh, and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh.
So fire could come from heaven as an approval, or God being happy with you. That's right. Or fire could come from heaven, and God may not be that happy with you.
That's a fact.
And in this instance with the two sons of Aaron, God was not too happy with what was happening, and unfortunately it cost them their lives. Let us go.
Then Moshe said unto Aharon, this is it that Yahweh spoke, saying, through them that are nigh unto me, I will be sanctified, and before all the people I will be glorified.
You hear that? And Aaron held his peace. But this is a message to everyone who stands before the people, who professes to be a teacher, a leader, or a priest, or a chief, or a prince, whatever you may be. When you stand before the people, you're held to a higher standard. I repeat that. When you stand before the people, you're held to a higher standard. So your moves have to be cautious, because if you say you represent God, God will come and judge you.
That's a fact.
He will judge you. He's not going to, there is a difference.
There is a difference.
There is a difference. It's just like, in sports, they say, well, why the superstar get special treatment? Because he's the superstar. Because when he get buckets, when he need buckets, he gets buckets. You don't get the buckets that he gets. Julius Randle. You're not KD. Sorry, I had to say it.
Oh, man.
No handle Randall. So yes, KD and Kyrie could sit out, and the team could make special arrangements for Kyrie, and he only has to play road games because he could score 63 points at any time.
That's a fact.
He's a superstar. You turn the ball over in critical times of the game.
Oh, man.
If you happen to be listening, Brother Julius, I'm sorry. That's from the heart. But, yeah, there is a difference. So when you present yourself before God's people and you're giving certain instructions or you're misleading the people, and God is going to hold you accountable for that because you know better. You should know better. You should understand much more than everybody else. God didn't ask for incense. He didn't ask you to burn that. He just gave you specific instructions. So we're going from a beautiful day where everyone is rejoicing to now there's a lot of long faces and sad. But do God care? Because he's not like us parents. We give breaks with certain things that we're not supposed to give breaks with. Yeah, you're supposed to be merciful, but not when it comes to instances like this because the people are watching. And then the people would think that they could do what they want to do. And God does not go for that. Yes, he's merciful, but he gave specific instructions when it came to this inauguration, when it came to raising up this tabernacle, and when it came to getting these priests in order for them to do their job. So you got to start doing it right. You can't go to a job, right, the first day and be late.
Nah.
You got like a 3 or 6 month probation, right? You be late, you go up there, you on your cell phone. Boss see you on the cell phone. You're not going to make the 3 months. They're going to call you. You're not going to make it to lunch. They're going to call you into the office. They're going to be like, listen, I don't think that we're compatible for each other. You know what I mean? This is not working. This is you're on your cell phone. You came in late, and then you ran back out and went and got lunch. Came back in, you was eating the lunch on the egg, got runny eggs, got all on the keyboards. They're like, this is not going to work out. We don't work like that in here. And like, I think it's best for us to part ways at this moment. Find yourself another job, Don't worry, this won't even go on your record. You could just move on. Let us go.
Verse 4. And Moshe called Mishael and Elsaphon, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aharon, and said unto them, draw near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. Mm-hmm. So they drew near and carried them in their tunics out of the camp, as Moshe had said.
So it was like lightning came from heaven and burned them up. And their cousins had to go in there and drag them out. Mm-hmm. And they were a symbol and a sign for all those disbelieving souls, right, that God will judge you. And they got carried out in the midst of the people, and they got put away. But guess what? The show must go on.
That's a fact.
You can't slow down. Let us go.
And Moshe said unto Aharon and unto Eleazar and unto Itamar his sons, let not the hair of your heads go loose, neither rend your clothes, that ye die not, and that he be not wroth with all the congregation. But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which your whole have kindled.
Back in the days, like when a brother or sister, someone died, most of us had braids back then. Some of us, our hair don't grow no more. Some people have locked it up. But back in the days when there was a sign of mourning, we would take our braids out. And you would just see brothers with their hair out, hair all over the place. So that was like a form of mourning for our people, where they would take their hair loose, right? So Moses is telling Aaron and the remaining 2 sons, listen, this is not the time for that. Let the people mourn them, but you must carry on, because you already seen that the Creator is not happy with what has happened. Now you don't want to fall under the category of, making the Creator unhappy, and then you're next. So Moses at this point is scared more so than anything, because something went wrong. Something went wrong in the equation. So now stay the course, continue to do what you're supposed to do, so we could get through this day. Let us go. And those are his nephews.
And ye shall not go out from the door of the tent of meeting lest ye die. For the anointing oil of Yahweh is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moshe.
And they did according unto the word of Moshe. And now some Bible critics have said that Moses was callous because he didn't give Aaron a time to mourn. But it wasn't Moses' command. It wasn't Moses who was in charge of this. It was the Creator. Moses was more so scared. It wasn't that he didn't care that his nephews had just passed away, but just Moses was scared. And at this point, the concern is, let's get through the day so that no one else has to die. So he told them, stay the course, do what you're supposed to do. Don't go outside the formula, so that way we could survive this day. That's more so what Moses was thinking at that time. Let us go.
And Yahweh spoke unto Aharon, saying, drink no wine, nor strong drink, thou, nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tent of meeting, that ye die not. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation.
So now, very important. It didn't say that Nadab and Abihu drank wine.
Right.
But what comes right after what happened to them, the judgment that happened to them, is very important. When you come before God, make sure you are clear-minded.
That's right. That's it.
When you come before the Creator, make sure that you haven't taken any mind-altering substances.
There you go.
Make sure of that. And if we're in the midst of people and people have indulged, let the person who has not done anything like that, let them say the prayer. That's the practice that we got ourselves into.
That's right.
Right? Hey, we're going to say we have a feast day or a celebration. Hey, we got to say a prayer, because we always say prayers. Brother, you want to say a prayer? And you have to learn as a brother or as a sister, if you've taken beverage or something like that, to say, no, I can't do it.
Even a sip.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not equipped to do it. Let someone else do it. There you go. Let's go to the next person. There's nothing wrong with saying, I can't do it at this moment. I don't care how big on the totem pole you are. If you took a sip, sit down.
That's right.
And if it's a child that has to say the prayer, let the child say the prayer. That's why we teach them, don't we? So therefore, let them say the prayer. Let them put their hands up and pray to the Creator. But don't fall under the category of those that are like Nadab and Abihu, that lose their lives or lose their way because your pride does not allow you to pass it on to someone else.
Right.
We have to be careful, and we can't take God for a joke. Let us go.
And that you may put difference between the holy and the common, and between the unclean and the clean.
You put difference between holy and common. There's a difference. There's a difference between holy and common. We can't bring the common to the holiness, right, because then it pollutes it. We cannot bring the common to holiness because it pollutes it. Right. Common is common and holy is holy. We got to separate it. That's right. Let us go.
And that you may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which Yahweh hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses.
By the hand of Moses. Continue, my brother.
And Moshe spoke unto Aharon and unto Eleazar and unto Itamar his sons that were left. Take the meal offering that remaineth of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. It is most holy.
Eat that. Moses want everything to go according to plan. Let's go.
And ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due, and thy sons' due, of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. For so I am commanded. And the breast of waving and the thigh of heaving shall ye eat in a clean place. Thou and thy sons and thy daughters with thee, for they are given as thy due, and thy sons do out of the sacrifices of the peace offerings of the children of Israel.
Moses said, eat up whatever is there that you're supposed to eat. Let's go.
The thigh of heaving and the breast of waving shall they bring with the offerings of the fat made by fire, to wave it for a wave offering before Yahweh. And it shall be thine and thy sons with thee as a due forever, as Yahweh have commanded.
It shall be yours and your sons as a due forever, as Yahweh commanded. Let's go.
And Moshe diligently inquired for the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and with Itamar, the sons of Aharon that were left, saying, Wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the place of the sanctuary, seeing it is most holy? And he hath given it you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before Yahweh. Behold, the blood of it was not brought into the sanctuary within. Ye should certainly have eaten it in the sanctuary, as I commanded. And Aharon spoke unto Moshe, Behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before Yahweh. And there have befallen me such things as these. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, would it have been well pleasing in the sight of Yahweh? And when Moshe heard that, it was well pleasing in his sight.
It was well pleasing in Moshe's sight. So they had not eaten the sin offering that they were supposed to eat.
Right.
But you know what happens when there's death, right?
Right.
You don't feel hungry. No appetite. I mean, brothers just seeing they two brothers pass away. So there's a lot of things going through their mind. Father just seeing his two sons pass away. And they had to continue to do the job. So there is no appetite there. So what they did with the sin offering, they just burnt it up. Which is not against the rules. Because if you're not going to eat it, you're not supposed to leave it over.
Right.
So they just burnt it up. So Moses was concerned about this because Moses is saying to himself, hey, seeing what happened already, you guys are not following instruction. He said, listen, we don't feel hungry right now. He said, would this comfort us? Right. We just lost our family members. You just lost your nephew. And Moses heard it and he said, you know what? I understand. And he just moved on. So at this time now, we're going to go into Leviticus chapter 11, which is the final chapter in this portion, but is also one of the most important portions in the Tanakh because it teaches us how to eat. Right. You see, when you are when you like are a Christian, you don't learn laws like this. Right. Because in Christianity they tell you basically, you know what I mean? You can eat anything that you pray over. So, you know, Christians eat possum, they eat raccoons, they eat lizards, gators, dogs, cats. Well, I don't know too many Christians that eat dogs and cats, but in China they eat dogs and cats. But they eat, you know, you eat rats, weasels, crabs, you eat squirrels, they eat squid, you name them, octopus, lobsters, everything. Listen, I heard a guy say, if I could hunt it, I'm gonna eat it. Wow. If I could shoot it, I could eat it. Everything, you know, they eat gators. Gators is like, and everybody, it tastes like chicken. Yeah. But they, you know, they cut that meat up and they eat it. And there's a lot of these things that you can, in certain parts of the world, they eat rats. They eat rats. Some people eat crickets and locusts, but we can eat that. That was the trick. How many of y'all want some locusts and some crickets? Chocolate covered? You ate it before? You'll consider it? What about some fried locusts? With some rice? With white rice or brown rice? It don't matter. It's clean. Oh, who wants some grasshopper? Can we eat a praying mantis? They the same family, right? So these are certain things that we could eat that we just not accustomed to eating. Right? Who wants some giraffe? You take some giraffe? Yeah, these are some of the animals that we are able to eat. And I'm waiting for my son to set it up. That's why I'm stalling over here. But yes, and there are a lot of animals that we cannot eat. You know, I seen a report in the news that talks about the wild pigs on feral. They call them feral pigs. What happens is sometimes these pigs escape from the pens, and then they become wild. Pigs naturally they're a wild animal. Most domesticated animals were wild at one point, right? And people took them in, domesticated them, took the wildness out of it, like goats and and animals like that. But right now, you still got wild goats that live in the mountains and in the crevices, and rams and if you run across them, they could do some damage to you. But in terms of the pigs, they talking about because the pigs eat anything, any and everything, anything in their path they destroy. So if you got a corn crop, guess what the pig gonna do? He gonna eat it up. So a lot of farmers are having problems because when you farm, right, year to year, you depend on these crops for your Mauser. Can you put it on that thing right there? Look, on that stand right there, the laptop. Look, on this stand back there by Chief Member. So I could have it right here, so I could see it. So what the pigs are doing is the pigs are destroying people's crops, but they're very intelligent. So you can't catch them by just going down and hunting them. They're much more smarter than deers. Yeah, they're not going to come out when you think they're going to come out. They come out at the times of the night when you're not going to be there. And if you shoot one, you can never shoot them again. So they have to come up with crafty ways of catching pigs. But the problem with pigs is that they have litters. So one litter could be like 10 piglets growing. So the way that they reproduce is so much faster than so many other animals that when you see a bunch of them, it's like, and they'll attack you. They'll attack you.
Yes, they will.
Them hogs, they'll attack you. And they'll do damage to you.
Yep.
And most of the natural predators that North America has are almost extinct. Like, you got grizzly bears, you got wolves, but a pack of wolves can handle 50 pigs. 50 pigs will do damage to them. Yeah, they'll do damage to a pack of wolves. Because they'll do damage. Yeah, a pack of pigs. I'm talking about. Have you ever seen the lion that grabbed the wildebeest and them wildebeest came back? And that lion was almost meat for the crocodile. So you gotta the natural predators are like the big cats. You got the apex predators. You got the grizzly. You got predators like that, black bear. Those animals are the ones that would naturally keep that under control, right? But the pigs reproduce so quickly that they're doing damage within the farming community, and they have to set all types of traps and stuff to eliminate them because it's too many of them. And the hunters can't keep up with them because they're too smart for the hunters. It's not like a deer that comes back and comes in grace. And yes, you got to be careful, but pigs are much more intelligent. That's why people keep them as pets, because they say that they're intelligent. That the pigs actually they could think about certain things, and they know certain things, and they have certain routines because they're almost like they're smarter than dogs. They said that the pigs are smarter than dogs. So, just keep that in mind. So as we go along, let us go to Leviticus chapter 11.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe and unto Aharon, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the living things which ye may eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is wholly cloven footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that may ye eat.
That may ye eat. Whatever part of the hoof and is cloven footed. Can you read that up there, my brother?
Is that on my slide?
You're on your slide.
Okay.
Nah, he got it right on the screen.
Cloven-footed animals have a complete split in their hooves. These hooves are called claws and are named for their relative location on the foot, the outer or lateral claw, or the inner or medial claw.
So basically, you see a row of their foot right there. You see the claw. You see the split in the hoof, right? And the four little points, right? That's what makes it cloven-footed. These are the animals that are clean for us to eat. You see it right at the top? I don't know if the pointer works on this TV. I don't think so. Can't see the pointer on the TV. But, you know, you see it right up there. Keep reading, my brother.
The primary difference between a ruminant and non-ruminant called monogastrics, such as humans, dogs, and pigs, is that ruminants have a four-compartment stomach. The four parts of the stomach are the rumen, the reticulum, the omasum, and the abomasum.
Go back to the tonight. I don't know if you read about the chewing the cud part yet.
It's just a brief part.
Yeah, let's go.
Verse 4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that only chew the cud, or of them that only part the hoof. The camel, because he cheweth the cud, but parteth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the rock badger, because he cheweth the cud, but parteth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
So now, the important part about chewing the cud, some people think chewing the cud is just eating grass.
Right.
Chewing cud is not just eating grass. Right. As my brother just read right here, the four parts of the stomach are the primary difference between a ruminant and a non-ruminant called monogastrics, such as humans, dogs, and pigs. We have a monogastric system, meaning that whatever we eat, it goes down the esophagus, right? We got digestive juices in our stomachs, gastric juices that break down the food. Whatever we eat, it breaks it down, and then it goes through let me make sure I got this right, the small intestine, and then it goes through the large intestine into the rectum, and then, you know, it's waste, right? So that's what it is. And we got other organs that extract certain nutrients from the foods that we eat, and so forth and so on, go into the bloodstream and all that. But the animals that chew the cud don't have a monogastric system like humans and pigs and these other animals. They have a four-section stomach. Now you could continue with the slide, reading it, my brother.
In the first two chambers, the rumen and the reticulum, the food is mixed with saliva and separates into layers of solid and liquid material.
That's why you always see cows and animals that are ruminant, they're constantly chewing grain, grass, whatever. It just seems like they always chewing because they don't have that system like us. It drops in our stomach. Them acids begin to do what they do, and then they go through a process. They actually have to go through a process. And chewing the cud is basically that grass or whatever that they eat, because they don't have that gastric juices in their stomach. They have to bring that back up. Right. Chew it again. Chew it again and bring it back down again. And this food goes into the different sections of their stomach in order for them to complete their digestive system, their digestive process. And it goes through their digestive system. Let us go.
Solids clump together to form the cud or the bolus. The cud is then regurgitated and chewed to completely mix it with saliva and to break down the particle size. Fiber, especially cellulose and hemicellulose, is primarily broken down in these chambers by microbes, mostly bacteria, as well as some protozoa, fungi, and yeast, into the three volatile fatty acids, FVAs, and acetic acid, propionic acid, and butyric acid. Protein and non-structural carbohydrates, pectins, sugars, and starches are also fermented.
So they need all this to break down their food, basically. The yeast and all these different things that are naturally in their stomachs, they need all this stuff to break down whatever it is that they're eating and become and to be able to survive, to be able to eat and to be and to live. Let's go.
Even though the rumen and the reticulum have different names, they represent the same functional space as digesta can move back and forth between them. Together, these chambers are called the reticulorum. The degraded digester, which is now in the lower liquid part of the reticulorum, then passes into the next chamber, the omasum, where water and many of the inorganic minerals elements are absorbed into the bloodstream.
Let's go.
After this, the digester is moved to the true stomach, the abomasum. The abomasum is the direct equivalent of the monogastric stomach, For example, that of the human or pig.
So you see, so now it has to go through all these chambers of stomach to get to the actual stomach, right? To the true stomach, which is, you know, most of the people that know, like they eat cow and stuff like that. That's the tripe. Mm-hmm. What we see as the tripe. What if you ever ate tripe before? That's what that stomach, the intestine and the stomach part of the cow is, that tripe. Let's go. That's the real stomach. Let's go.
Digester is finally moved into the small intestine, where the digestion and absorption of nutrients occur. Mm-hmm. Microbes produced in the reticular rumen are also digested in the small intestine. Fermentation continues in the large intestine in the same way as in the reticular rumen.
And the reticular rumen. Let's go to the next one. It says right here, giraffes surprisingly chew the cud and their hoofs are split. That makes the giraffe a clean animals for us to consume. So now, I usually have the slide where you could actually see him chewing the cud. You could see him regurgitating the actual lump coming back up, that long neck, and then going back down to show the process of chewing the cud. So chewing the cud is not just eating grass, because when your dog gets sick and he goes outside, he'll eat some grass. Dogs know. They won't eat the food at home. If your dog is sick, test it. If he's not eating the food at home, take him to a park and he'll eat grass. He'll eat grass. So it's not just eating grass that means eating the cud. That's not what eating the cud is. Chewing the cud is. Mm-hmm. Chewing the cud is a certain process that the animals go through in order for them to be able to bring forth this food back and forth. The next one is... Let's go.
All animals?
Yeah, all animals.
All animals under order Artiodactyla suborder Rumentia chew cud and have split or cloven hooves. Families Antilocapridae, Bovidae, Cervidae, Giraffidae, Moschidae, and Tragulidae are all under this suborder and contain animals that chew cud. There are well over 250 different types of animals around the world that are clean for us to eat.
So there's no reason for us to be eating unclean.
Right.
Because all over the world, there's over 250 species of animals that we can eat. If you choose to eat meat, right? So there's over 250 of them. Even if you go to Australia, where you got a lot of marsupials, where 95% of marsupials live. You know, marsupials are like kangaroos, koala bears, these type of animals. I believe North America only has one marsupial, and that's the possum. Now, marsupials are animals that they don't go, they babies don't grow like in the sack, like go through the gestation period. They go through a gestation period outside of the mother's womb. So they got little pouches. So when you see the little tiny kangaroo, he'll drop into his mother's pouch, and then he'll be getting fed from right there. The possums is the same way. Opossum, that's what they're called, opossum. So they're the same way, and that's the only marsupial that we have, I believe, in North America, or in the Americas, period. Right? But but we can't eat kangaroos. We can't eat marsupial animals. They're unclean for us. We can't eat them because it specifies what we can eat. It has to have a split hoof, fully cloven footed, and it has to do what? Chew the cud. There you go. Go ahead, my brother. Go to the next picture. Back to the, let me see.
To verse 6.
Yeah, verse 6.
And the hare, because she cheweth the cud, but parteth not the hoof, she is unclean unto you. And the swine, because he parteth the hoof and is cloven footed, but cheweth not the cud, he is unclean unto you. Of their flesh ye shall not eat, and their carcasses ye shall not touch. They are unclean unto you.
Of their flesh ye shall not eat, and their carcasses ye shall not touch. They are unclean unto you. So right here I got pictures of the camel. Although he split the hoof and is cloven footed, he don't chew the cud, right? But it's a picture of camel hooves. We see they are not completely split, and he is not cloven footed. He's not cloven footed, I mean. The hyrax does not chew the cud, but the chewing motion gives the appearance that it does, but he doesn't chew the cud. And he's not cloven footed. And the hare or the rabbit, the same family. We cannot eat rabbit. A lot of people eat rabbits. A lot of people, they catch rabbits and they flay it and they fry it up and they say it tastes just like what? Like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken. In Panama, where I was born, they go into the trees and catch the iguanas. They eat their eggs and they flay it. They cut it into pieces and they say it tastes just like what?
Chicken.
Like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken. Positive. How it tastes like? Man, it tastes just like chicken. That's what they said. It tastes just like chicken. So, where we at right now?
The pig. The pig has a completely split hoof and is also cloven-footed. But the pig has a monogastric digestive system like
we read earlier.
It does not chew the cud, so it is unclean for us to consume.
And it's unclean for us to consume. And this is the #1 consumed meat in the world. Oh my God. The pig. Why? Because, like I said, they have litters. Do you know that this is a true fact in Vegas? Most restaurants cannot feed you the food from the prior day. There is no such thing as keeping it for the next day. You're supposed to throw it out or you give it away to food banks and things of this manner. In Vegas, what they do is they get dump trucks. Every scrap of food, every leftover thing that they scraped into the garbage or whatever, they just throw it right into these big dump trucks. I seen it like on one of those shows on the National Geographic or something. Yeah, they take it, they go to the pig farm, the truck backs in, and it goes right into the slop. The pigs eat everything. They eat through everything. If you lay there long enough, he'll eat you. They'll eat anything. They'll break through bones. They'll do all of that. The pig will eat any and everything. They said they dig up the roots of trees and eat that. They natural scavengers that are going to survive.
That's right.
Very important lessons for us to understand. That's why we have to be very careful as to where we go and eat. I'm not telling you can't go eat. I'm just telling you read and see what's there for them to be feeding you. Because if they have pig, it could be some cross-contamination. So you might not want to go eat out of that place. Because I'm not going to say that we don't go out and eat, but you have to be careful. But I tell you one thing, you can't go to Bojangles and get you something to eat. You can't go to Cracker Barrel and get you something to eat. You can't go to Red Lobsters and get you something to eat. You can't go to McDonald's and Burger King because the same griddle that they make the breakfast in the morning and they make the bacon, eggs, and muffins, whatever they make, right? In McDonald's, they might wipe it down, but it don't mean that it's clean. Because the Lord tells us, it says, when it's metal, it gives specific instructions as if something is metal, is wood, and it's ceramic, right? Or is earthen, right? It gives you specific. It says with the metal, you got to scrub it. You might have to scald it, right? Get that off of it, and then wait till sundown. Right. So now, if they're cooking breakfast in the morning with the griddle, right? Let's say that they do all that. They scald it and they do all that. But they don't wait till the evening to put that beef patty on it, that burger patty on it. Guess what? It's unclean.
That's it.
We can't eat out of these places. The fries from McDonald's was researched. They were not only lard, they were using beef fat to cook it. Most High God tell us not to eat any manner of blood or any manner of what? Fat, even if it's of a clean animal.
That's right.
Now, we could use the fat of a clean animal to make soaps, to make lotions, to make all these things. But to consume, it is not allowed for us. We are not allowed to do it. It is a no-no before the Creator.
Right.
Let us go on, my brother.
Verse 9.
Go back to the camera, Mosey.
Verse 9. These may ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them may ye eat.
Them may ye eat.
And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers of the waters, of all that swarm in the waters, and of all the living creatures that are in the waters, they are a detestable thing unto you. And they shall be a detestable thing unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, and their carcasses ye shall have in detestation. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that is a detestable thing unto you.
That is a detestable thing unto you. So now we have here, go to the mackerel fish. Sometimes they have scales and sometimes they don't.
Most mackerels belong. Actually, you want to start from, okay. Like other scombroids, mackerels such as the Atlantic mackerel are superb swimmers and can retract their fins into grooves on their bodies or streamlining. They have deeply forked tails and are smaller and slimmer than tuna.
But they from the same family. So a mackerel could be called a tuna. They're they just a smaller version of the tuna. It's just like whiting is a smaller version of the trout. There you go. Whiting is just a smaller version of the trout, but if you taste it, it's the same. Just that the trout is bigger, a little bit meatier, but it's the same thing. Look, the same thing. Let's go.
Generally, mackerel are much smaller and slimmer than tuna, though in other respects they share many common characteristics. Their scales, if present at all, are extremely small.
What it said, their scales is what?
Extremely small.
If present at all.
If present at all.
Right? So we can't go, God said that animals in the water that we could consume have to have what?
Fins and scales.
Fins and scales. Scales is noticeable, something that you'll be able to scrape off and it's going to fly off. Right? And the fins are the little wings that they got, the little things on the top of their heads and their tails. That's the fin. That's what helps them to maneuver and swim underneath water. But it says that they have to have these two things in order for you to consume them. So now if someone is telling me this fish might have scales, this fish might not have scales, when you pull it out the water and it has scales, then it's good for you to eat. If it's a known fish, now back in the days they say some of these fish, they say the tuna has a nervous condition, that when you pull it out the water, that the scales fall off. Now, I'm going to tell you this about tuna. If you could go to the market and find you tuna with fins and scales, then it's good to eat. But that tuna in that can, I wouldn't advise anyone to eat. Because when in doubt, you do what? Without. You do without. You got Israelites that are going to eat tuna. You got Israelites that eat tuna. But I'm telling you that if you ever see that show, Big Tuna, whatever, when they catching them the big tunas out in the Atlantic Ocean, when they pull them things out, they don't have scales. They don't scale those things. They don't got scales. So I'm just telling you, and the mackerel and the tuna are from the same family. What I'm telling you is be careful as to what you put into your body, because you might be going against the laws of the Creator. That's right. And you don't want to find yourself to be sinning before the Most High God. Let us go, my brother.
Where you want to go?
Let's go back to the next picture. We got a full screen here of clean fish. And there's more fish than this. I was surprised when I found out that the Barracuda is clean to eat. Yeah, Barracuda is clean. You know. Some people have a problem with the, what do you call it? The tilapia, but God didn't tell us the habit of the fish. He just told us they got to have what? Fins and scales. We get confused with whatever the habit. Oh, we can't eat this because of that. That's not what God said. It said the fish got to eat fins and scales. They said that piranhas got fins and scales. I ain't never got close enough to one to say that I want to eat one. But piranhas are carnivorous. I mean, most fish are carnivorous. They eat other fish. Big fish eat what?
That's a fact.
That's their cycle.
That's a fact.
If you ever see sharks underneath the sea, right? You always get little fish underneath them. They understand that if I stay close to him, he won't eat me. They be right underneath him, and they swim along with the shark. And they get the little scrapings. Whack, 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 whack. The little scrapings that the shark leave, he gets it. Whack, 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 whack. But he never gets it, because what the shark and whales and these other, well, whales will kill a shark. He'll tear a shark up, right? But sharks, what they do, they go find tuna, they go find seals, they find anything and they'll hunt it and they'll eat it, right? They'll go hunt it, and then if this is what they call it, it's a school of fish. I believe it's a school, right? When it's a school of fish, the shark just opens up his mouth and eats. That's what he does. So. That's what the shark does, right? And so there's a number of fish that we could eat for us not to be worried about tuna. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of fish. I love salmon. I love that fish. I could eat it fried. I could eat it baked. I could eat it grilled. Anyway, that's a sweet tasted fish right there.
Sweet tasted.
That does have to somebody from Jamaica. Somebody from Jamaica could take that all my yardies out there take that totally different. All my Jamaican massive could take that totally different. I mean in the literal sense of a fish.
Oh man, that was priceless.
What? Mm-hmm. Bass is good. Let us go, my brother. Go back
Verse
to
13.
Mm-hmm.
And these ye shall have in detestation among the fowls.
Oh, another thing about fish. Mm-hmm. Their rules are a little bit different than land animals like pigs and stuff like that, because the pigs contaminate. Right. But remember, when you go fishing, you throw a net. Most our forefathers threw a net in, or they threw a line. Mm-hmm. But for most part, fishers, they don't fish with a line, they fish with a net. Right. So when you throw a net in, you bringing everything in, clean and unclean. Right. So that specific law about if the dead carcass of this touches that or whatever, it really doesn't go for the fish, because when you get that unclean fish, you throw it back, right? You're not going to eat it, or they might use it as bait. But it doesn't make you unclean like the animal, like the actual land animal that's going to make you unclean, right? So with the fish is a little bit different. That's why the law is a little bit different with the fish. Let us go.
13. And these ye shall have in detestation among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are a detestable thing. The great vulture.
Hold on. The great vulture, or the Gifron vulture, also known as the great vulture, is found throughout a large portion of the old world, inhabiting warmer portions of the hemisphere, particularly around the Mediterranean areas. It is considerably a large bird, being little short of 5 feet in total length, and the wingspan measuring about 8 feet. So vultures, these are scavengers. They wingspan, they could be as big as an eagle, vultures. And some of them even bigger than some certain types of eagle. And they're scavengers. What they do is they eat dead anything. Animal, humans. If you fall dead in the middle of a forest, he will smell you and he will eat you. That's his job. So that's the great vulture. Go to the next one.
And the bearded vulture.
The bearded vulture right here, the Gephiatus barbatus.
Also known as the lammergeier or ostrich, is a bird of prey and the only member of the genus Gypaetes. The bearded vulture is the only known vertebrate whose diet consists almost consistently 70 to 90% of bone.
Of bone. So you know how strong his bite is, his beak is, in order to break bones and eat bone. 70 to 90% of his diet consists of eating bones. But that's what these animals were put here to do, to eat. Yes?
So basically, the other vulture comes first and he comes second.
And he comes second. There you go. Right in order. Let's go. Next one.
And the osprey.
And the osprey.
The osprey, or more specifically the Western Osprey, also called sea hawk, river hawk, and fish hawk, is a diurnal fish-eating bird of prey with a cosmopolitan range. It is a large raptor, reaching more than 24 inches in length and 71 inches across the wings. It is brown on the uppermost parts and the predominantly grayish on the head and
so raptor is he hunts for he looks for live prey, but he goes into the sea and he hunts. He grabs them, whoop, and then he eats them up, gets them out the water. You never seen that? I seen that plenty of time off the Belt Parkway. You see those fish out there? You got a actual fish. I seen the hawk do that. Hawk do it. Let us go.
And the kite.
The kite.
The kite is common name for certain birds of prey in the family of Asapridae, particularly in subfamilies Milvinae and Eleninae and Perninae.
These are all birds of prey. Next one.
And the falcon after its kind. The falcon. Falcons are birds of prey in the genus Falco, which includes about 40 species. Falcons are widely distributed on all continents of the world except Antarctica, though closely related raptors did occur there in the Eocene.
So all these birds are basically like we're leading up to hawks and eagles. These are like raptors, like birds of prey that go hunt they prey. But these are like the smaller versions, and then we begin to get to the bigger versions, and then we get to the owl and and birds like that. Let's go.
Every raven after its kind. The raven.
A raven is
one of several larger body species of the genus Corvus.
We got ravens all in the Northeast. The ravens will come down on the highway and eat up whatever is their dead carcass, whatever. But the raven is that black bird. They call it a dirty bird. Let's go.
And the ostrich.
Uh-huh.
The ostrich are family Struthinidae, a flightless bird. God, why is it skipping like that?
The two extant species of ostrich are the common ostrich and the Somali ostrich.
Both in the genus Struthio, which also contains several species known from Holocene, fossils such as the Asian ostrich. The common ostrich is the more widespread of the two living species and is the largest living bird species. Other ostriches are also among the largest bird species ever.
And they said you don't want to mess with an ostrich. He'll hurt you. Ostrich he stands just as tall as you do, and he'll hurt you, right? So these birds, it's a flightless bird, and he's more to the region of Africa. He's more to Africa, and I believe like parts of Asia, but not over here. Ostriches. Next one.
And the nighthawk. Nighthawks are medium-sized birds with long wings, short legs, and very short bills. They usually nest on the ground. They feed on flying insects. Let's go. And the sea mule, the common gull, or sea mule, is a medium-sized gull that breeds in the Palearctic northern Europe and northwestern North America.
We see seagulls. We see seagulls in the hood with the pigeons. If you leave chicken bones or whatever, if you go to Rockaway Beach and you leave your food out, a pack of seagull will run up on you like what? We want that. What you gonna do for that? Yeah, that's seagulls. They are very aggressive. Go next one.
And the hawk after its kind. Hawks are groups of medium-sized diurnal birds of prey of the family Asapridae. Hawks are widely distributed and vary greatly in size. The subfamily Asapridae includes ghost hawks, sparrow hawks, sharp-shinned hawks, and others.
Well, what we have prominently here is the red-tailed hawk. And I heard a story that they brought him in to clear out Prospect Park from rodents, from rats. It was a problem with rats in Prospect Park. Well, they did a very good job of it. But what they started doing next was they started cleaning the squirrels out. They started clearing, if you left your little dog running around by itself, the hawk will grab that. Over where I work at, they grab the rat. Every morning when I'm pulling up, they got rabbits. They on the ground like this, and I pull up next to him, and he looking at me like, what? Like, you got it. I'm gonna keep it moving. You got it. I'm not stopping you. But they'll grab anything up that they could carry. They'll grab it up. The hawk is a fierce hunter. He'll go in the water. He'll do it on land. He will hunt a bird in the air. He will hunt a pigeon. He'll grab a pigeon in the air. If he has to drop on them, and they smooth. I see them on the Jersey Turnpike. On the Jersey Turnpike, if you look up on the lamp post, like on the Jersey Turnpike, you don't see any other type of bird out there. Pigeons, anything. You might see some Canadian geese flying through, they're pretty big for a hawk to hunt, but they'll still hunt him. If push come shove, he'll grab that Canadian goose. He'll fight with him, but he'll eventually overcome him, right? But the hawk is a fierce hunter. Let's go. But these are animals we can't eat. Let us go.
And the little owl and the cormorant and the great owl.
Next one.
Hold on.
The great and the great owl.
Hold on. And the little owl and the cormorant and the great owl and the horned owl and the pelican and the carrion vulture.
So now, when we get to the, what verse you at?
That was verse 18.
Verse 18, it says, and the horned owl and the pelican and the carrion vulture. So now this is when we read verse 17, and the little owl and the cormorant and the great owl, right? And now when we get to the beginning of verse 18, it says, and the horned owl, right? This is the great owl. The word in Hebrew that they use for the horned owl is ten shemet. Now, when the book was originally translated from Hebrew, right? When what they had was the Septuagint, which was 70 elders who they got to translate the book from Hebrew to Greek. So what they did is they got all these 70 elders to translate the Tanakh or the Torah from Hebrew to Greek. So they got them all to sit down and see their translation, and each one of them translated it specifically the same. Originally, where you see, what is that, verse 18? And the horned owl, that was known as what they had there was the swan. If you look at certain translations of this actual verse, you will see swan there. In the King James Version, you will see swan. Now remember, the King James Version is the first English version translating the actual Holy Scriptures or the Tanakh. It's the King James Version. I believe that's the first translation. And I believe that's what JPS uses most of the translation from the King James Versions. They might change a word here and there. So this is one of the words that they changed from swan to the horned owl. Why? Because the swan is family to the swans, the geese, and the ducks are all in the same family. Now read where it speaks about the swans.
The swans are birds of the family of Antidae within the genus Cygnus. The swan's closest relatives include the geese, and ducks. Swans are grouped with the closely related geese in the subfamily Ostrich, where they come from the tribes.
Our fathers didn't eat duck. That's right. But the European likes to eat duck.
Right.
So it makes it easy for him to say, no, we can eat duck. So that's talking about a horned owl. No, it's talking about a swan.
That's right.
And anything that's related to a swan, we cannot eat. So these animals are unclean for us to consume. So duck, it's a low toe for us. We cannot consume or eat duck. Go to the next one.
And the stork and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe and the bat. Storks are long-legged, long-necked, wading birds with long, stout bills. They belong to the family called Cyconidae and make up the order Cyconiformes. Cyconiformes previously included a number of other families such as herons and ibises, but those families have been moved to other orders.
So another bird is the turkey vulture. Go back to that. So now people confuse. People say, oh, turkeys are unclean. We cannot eat turkey. Right? That's false. What they confuse the turkey, the wild turkey, with is what we know as a turkey vulture. So now read what it says about the turkey vulture.
The turkey vulture received its common name from the resemblance of the adult's bald red head and its dark plumage to that of the male wild turkey.
His resemblance to the adult male wild turkey. So the turkey vulture and the wild turkey are two different species of birds. They're not the same. They eat differently. Turkey vulture, what we know as turkey vulture, what we call turkey vulture, is just a vulture. They call it turkey vulture because it looks like a
turkey.
wild turkey.
Right.
They feed on different things. Wild turkeys eat worms. Most birds eat worms. They eat foliage and things of nuts and stuff like that. These actual vultures, they eat decaying flesh. That's what they eat. So there's two different things. So turkey is clean for us to eat. And the reason why I tell you that is because bats. So why we get to pigeons and doves, we know those are clean. Turtle doves, these are all from the same family. White doves, the rock pigeons, which we commonly see here in New York City. And then the turtle doves, you might see a species of it around. It's like these little brown birds that look like doves. Little small brown birds that look like doves. It's the same, it's a turtle dove. So now go down to where it says quail. Now we know we could eat quail, right?
Right.
Because the Most High God, that's what he gave the children of Israel in the wilderness. For all them years they were out there, say he gave them quail in the evening and he gave them the manna in the morning, right? So now let's read about quails and their family and who is related to the quail. Let's go.
Quail is a collective name for several genera of mid-sized birds generally placed in the order of galliforms. Galliforms is in the order of heavy-bodied ground-feeding birds that includes turkey, grouse, chicken, New World quail. And Old World quail, ptarmigan, partridge, pheasant, francolin, and jungle fowl, and the crassidae.
These are all the same family. So if the unclean birds, it tells us that and anything after this kind we cannot eat. So with the quail, it has to be the same thing. If the Most High God gave us quail, anything after this kind or of the same family should be clean for us to eat. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
So, because it works both ways. People say, it comes from dinosaur, chickens come. Listen, I don't know what, all I know is they come from this family. Right. And we can eat quail, so that means we could eat chicken, we could eat turkey. And we could even eat pheasant and partridge.
Right.
I only know partridge from the partridge family. That's the only reason why I highlighted that, the partridge. But yes, so don't kill yourself and listen to all these, it's a lot of white noise around you. You just got to focus and actually study.
Right.
And look into things and understand things so that the Most High God will bless your understanding and you won't be confused. Somebody said don't eat project pigeons. But what people do is this. The people who hunt pigeons in the cities, they just don't eat them off the street.
Yeah.
They'll put a trap down for them. They'll put like grain, a snare, which is a snare, right? And they'll come down and eat, and then they'll throw a net over them and grab a few of them. Then they'll take them somewhere, pluck the wings, right? Because that's what you got to do for them not to fly away. And then for like 2 to 3 weeks, they'll feed them corn, they'll feed them whatever it is that they want that meat to taste like. They'll feed them corn, they'll feed them grain, whatever they want to. And then after the time is up, they'll pluck their neck and they'll take the feathers off or whatever, and then they'll cook them. But the Most High God said we can eat them. So if you in survival mode and you know how to hunt, you're going to know the things that you can eat. And you're going to go hunt them. And you're going to eat because you're in survival mode. Let us go. Go back to the Tanakh.
Verse 20. All winged swarming things that go up upon all fours are a detestable thing unto you. Yet these may ye eat of all winged swarming things that go upon all fours, which have jointed legs above their feet wherewith to leap upon the earth. Even these of them may ye eat. The locust after its kind, and the boar locust after its kind, and the cricket after its kind, and the grasshopper after its kind. But all winged swarming things which have 4 feet are a detestable thing unto you.
A detestable thing unto you. So these animals are actually high in protein. These insects are actually high in protein. So it's clean for us to eat them. Right? Let us go.
And by these ye shall become unclean. Whatsoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean unto the even. And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. Every beast which parteth the hoof but is not cloven-footed, nor cheweth the cud is unclean unto you. Everyone that touches them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his Pause. Among all beasts that go on all fours, they are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even.
So many of us have dogs and cats. So when they pass away in the house, you know, you put them away. Just know when you pick them up and do all that you become unclean until the evening.
Right.
Right? It don't mean you can't have a pet. Some people don't like dogs in the house. Some people, dogs should be in the backyard. Some people don't mind their dogs being in the house. Right? But when you live in the city, you might not have a backyard. So you got your dog and your cats. Some people have cats to control the other rodents that we cannot eat that come into your house and creep into your house. So some people keep cats to keep them away, right? So when these animals die and they pass away, it's just basically telling you when you touch them, you become unclean. No biggie. You know, sometimes we become unclean. But there's procedures that we go through, which is washing, right? Washing your clothes that make you clean again. It's no biggie. Uncleanness is part of life. For male, female, it's part of life. It's part of our lives. We're going to get unclean sometimes. So now go back to the part where it talks about dogs and cats.
Dogs, cats, and bears are some of the animals that you will find in the Chinese live market. Animals that are ready to be slaughtered in order to use their meat for food. Bear bile has been used in traditional Asian medicine for thousands of years. It contains high levels of ursodeoxycholic acid, all known to be useful for treating liver and gallbladder conditions. However, there are now many readily available herbal and synthetic alternatives with the same medicinal properties.
With the same medicinal properties. So the Chinese, who a lot of SARS and these type of diseases that are prevalent in the earth right now are come from is because a lot of the animals that, and they live markets, a lot of the animals that they eat, we wouldn't even dare think about eating. I seen pictures of them right there. You showed the skinned dogs and cats. You got the poor dogs in the cage. I don't know, but this is what they do. They eat, what's the other thing? Bats. They, my mother-in-law said anything that moves. That they eat it.
They have a saying that if their back faces the sky, you can eat it.
If their back faces the sky, you can eat it. Wow. But now you're talking about how many billions of people is in China? About 3 billion people in China? Population in China. Look that up. How many billions of people? So at one time they was going through a dearth where there was no food, and the government said it's okay for you to hunt wild animals and eat whatever wild animals. So the people in the mountains and the places, they just started hunting everything down. And they started eating everything, $1.4 billion. I believe India is the only other population that has more people than China. The Indians won't kill the rats, and they won't eat the cows, but the Chinese will eat everything up. All right. So these are the things that we stay away from. Any animals with paws and stuff we cannot eat. Read on, my brother. Let's finish this out.
Verse 29. And these are they that which are unclean unto you among the swarming things that swarm upon the earth, the weasel, and the mouse, and the great lizard after its kind, and the gecko and the land crocodile, and the lizard and the sand lizard and the chameleon. These
no
are they
gators, no possums, no weasels, no rats. We cannot eat any of those things. Let's go.
These are they which are unclean unto you among all that swarm. Whosoever doth touch them when they are dead shall be unclean until the even. And upon whatsoever any of them when they are dead doth fall, it shall be unclean. Whether it be in any vessel of wood or raiment or skin or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherewith any work is done, it must be put into the water, and it shall be unclean until the even, then shall it be clean. And every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and it ye shall break.
You shall break. The earthen vessels have pores. So those you break, the wooden vessels and the metal vessels, you wash them out till the evening. Let's go. So that's why we have to keep clean houses.
Right.
Because in those days the ovens was made out of clay. So if these things died in there, you had to break it up and build a whole new oven. So we got to keep a clean house. Try to get these things out of your home. I mean, sometimes it's hard when you live in you live in the projects and everybody else is nasty.
Right.
Or you live in a tenement building where you got a bunch of people in there and they find little crevices to come into your house and you can't leave a crumb down on the floor or anything like that. So we constantly have to continue to clean so that these things don't come around in the midst of us and die and then make us unclean. Mm-hmm. Let us go.
All food therein which may be eaten, that on which water cometh shall be unclean. Mm-hmm. And all drink in every such vessel that may be drunk shall be unclean.
So if you got your pots, that's why they make pot covers. You know that, right? Because if a roach falls in there with your food in there, it's unclean. You can't eat that. You got that pot of rice that you just made and it falls in there. Your cereals, you got to make sure all those things are sealed and make sure you get these things out of your homes because they make things unclean. I remember somebody used to say, one of the teachers used to say, you better, if you pour cereal and you pour the milk and then the roach is still alive, hurry up and get the roach out and you can eat the cereal. I was like, I'm not eating that cereal. I don't care if it was still alive. I don't want that cereal no more. My appetite is gone. My appetite is gone. I do not want that cereal. Listen, he said I wouldn't be eating that. I do not. You might not be breaking Torah, but I don't want it. Let us go.
Verse 35. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean. Whether oven or range for pots, it shall be broken in pieces. They are unclean and shall be unclean unto you. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, a fountain or a cistern wherein is a gathering of water shall be clean. But he who toucheth their carcass shall be unclean.
Yeah, so you see a cistern or a living body of water, if the carcass of any one of these unclean animals fall in, the water is still clean. The animal is unclean because those are living waters. They continue to flow. But if it's still standing still water, you can't use that anymore because that animal just made that standing still. So let's say in certain parts of the Caribbean, they catch water, right? Like people catch water on their ceilings, and that's the water that they use that goes through a filtration system. They catch the water from the rain. So something falls in there that's unclean. They got to take that whole thing out, disconnect it, wash it down, make sure till evening, and then put it back up there, and then they barrel to catch water again. But there's certain things that we got to keep out of the midst of us so that we could always be clean and be right before the Creator. Let's go.
And if aught of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But if water be put upon the seed and aught of their carcass fall thereon, it is unclean unto you. It is unclean unto you.
So if you got sowing seed, meaning you're going to plant, and the weasel or the rat or whatever dies on the seed, if the seed is dry, then the seed is still good to be used for farming. But if you already watered the seed and they fall into, let's say you put it in a container or something like that and they fall and they die in there, that seed is no longer any good. That was thundering? That's God speaking. Let's go.
And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the even. And he that eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. So
there's animals that we could eat, but if they die of themselves, then they are unclean for us to consume. Right. That's what it's speaking about. Because the animal might have a disease and he dies.
Right.
We can't eat that animal. Right. God said, whoever eats that flesh shall be unclean. Whoever touches the carcass shall be unclean. Right. So God is making a difference between the clean and the unclean. And he's showing us what we should do. Let's go.
And every swarming thing that swarmeth upon the earth is a detestable thing. It shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all fours, and whatsoever have many feet, even all swarming things that swarm upon the earth, them ye shall not eat.
Caterpillars, all that stuff, no good for us to eat.
For they are detestable things. Ye shall not make yourselves detestable with any swarming thing that swarmeth. Neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. For I am Yahuwah your God. Sanctify yourselves therefore and be ye holy, for I am holy.
For I am holy.
Neither shall ye defile yourselves with
any manner. Sanctify yourself and be ye holy, for I am holy. Very important. Let's go.
Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of swarming thing that moveth upon the earth. For I am Yahweh that brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy.
Hallelujah.
This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that swarmeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the living thing that may be eaten and the living thing that may not be eaten. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So, very important. Another thing. When we go into these Caribbean restaurants and they serving you sea moss. They call it isinglass. Now, isinglass specifically, not the sea moss. The sea moss is clean. The isinglass comes from the bladder of an unclean fish. The sturgeon. This same isinglass, Guinness Stout used to use it for the filtration system of their beer, to catch all the impurities, right? They stopped using it because a lot of vegetarians and vegans started complaining to them, and they stopped using that bladder of the sturgeon, which is an unclean fish that we cannot eat. So when you go to these Caribbean restaurants and they tell you they have isinglass or they have sea moss, if they tell you they have sea moss, you got to ask them, does the sea moss have isinglass in it? But if they got isinglass, they're already telling you that it has isinglass in it, and you cannot consume, you cannot drink that. So these are little details. That's why it's important, these Kennedy fried chickens and Frank's fried chicken and Tony's Pizza and Popeyes and all these places, we need to stay out of it. The food truck that's downstairs at your job, you cannot go to that food truck and tell me that you're eating clean. Well, Jose behind there cooking. Can't tell me that that's clean. Unless you read the ingredients and you know everything in there, you can't. Now, they got food trucks out there. They got some great food trucks out there. They got vegetarian food trucks. I used to work by One Liberty Plaza down, this was many years ago, like over 20-some years ago. And there was some Jewish restaurant, but there was a guy out there with a vegetarian truck. He used to use like mushrooms and the soy stuff, and this is like before people was into that stuff, right? But he used to have a long line because there was a lot of people that were not eating meat, so they was going to him because he actually had vegetables, he had all these things, and I was like, this is a great truck, and he would use organic seasonings and stuff like that. I said, man, I'll be eating vegetarian for lunch. You got to be able to be flexible and not just consume. I'm not telling you to eliminate everything from your diet, but sometimes you are in places where you cannot eat the chicken. Sometimes you're in places where you cannot eat the turkey or the beef or the steak or whatever, the lamb. Right. Eat you a salad. That's it. Sometimes you're in places where you're like, listen, I'm going to just hold this down till I get home. Or you go to a place where they serve clean enough food for you to consume and be able to carry on. But you have to be, the safest place to eat overall is at home. I'll repeat that. The safest place to eat is at home. Halal does not mean that it's clean. Halal is halal. Halal is not clean like the Most High God said. Now, you might go to a place that's halal and you might see the menu and you might read it and everything sticks out. But what I'm saying is, I don't put my trust in it because it says halal, because Muslims, their Quran tells them that if they're about ready to die, that it's okay for them to eat enough pig to survive. That it's okay for them to eat enough of what's unclean for them to carry on. So what's going to be enough for me and for someone like Moreh Arania? What's the limitation? God don't tell us that. We got great examples not in the Tanakh, but in the Apocrypha, where men lost their lives for not even making believe that they was eating something unclean. God don't tell us to make believe and that it's okay for us to eat something unclean. Tell us that this is wrong, that these we shall hold in detestation, and these things make us unclean. So we got to be careful where we eat from. We got to stay out of these places that will cross-contaminate. We got to stop it. TGIF Fridays and all these different places, these restaurants. Be careful where you go out and eat and where you go out and dine. Right. Understand what's before you, and understand what happened to Aaron's sons of them not making a difference between the holy and the common, right, and the clean and the unclean. Right. Understand that. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hoping and praying that you got something out of the lesson. And I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth be with us all. Hallelujah.